Welcome back to Holistic Healing Association. Today I have a special guest with me, Andrew Mason. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm an arborist from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, and I enjoy physical fitness, and I like to work on projects on the side other than work. Even though I work a lot of hours, I like to do some projects on the side, and I'm a father. I have a daughter. I've been working on a tiny house for a few years now, and just working away on it a little bit at a time. It's almost done, but I like to take my time with it and make sure I think things out well and plan things well. Um, should be
It's
done
pretty
soon.
cool.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but we'll see, I guess.
Maybe buy a little bit of property up north to go camping in it.
Maybe. Or I might just buy some property up north and retire in the woods. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll see.
Today we're here to talk about trauma. Have you experienced a trauma in your life?
Yes, I have experienced some trauma. I don't think there's anybody in the world who has not experienced trauma. Um,
And would you like to tell us about your journey?
about my trauma, yes. So I have did experience some childhood trauma growing up in my household. It wasn't not the healthiest home. I guess it went from generation to generation. So I guess it started with my great grandfather coming home from World War II. Fortunately, he had post-traumatic stress disorder from the war, and he got into drinking. And he wasn't the best father to my grandfather. So my grandfather, um, I guess he must have got hurt pretty badly by his father, and to protect himself, he did what he had to do to survive in that environment. And he wasn't really the best father to my father, and my father dealt with a lot of, I think, things that were not. There wasn't much talk about how there wasn't much talk about any good things, any good stories or anything growing up. So I just assumed that it probably wasn't very good. It wasn't like my father had everything they needed. They, they had everything materially, like material possessions they had and everything. But I think kind of the wholesome home life was missing in that family. And it comes down to my generation now. Well, me growing up, my father didn't really know how to be a good father, I don't think, to me. And, he struggled with drinking when he was younger. And he was abusive towards my mother, both verbally and physically. And yeah, I remember as like a toddler, just like with my siblings, like crying all night and listening to my mother screaming and crying. And yeah, I don't know how many, I can't even remember how many times that happened. I just, it was pretty traumatic. Mhm.
Sorry to hear that.
I guess the because my mother was abused by my father, she became kind of shut down emotionally, and that affected all of us, the children, obviously, in a huge way. Um, I guess some of us followed suit with her and became shut down emotionally as well. And there was not much there was not much there was little to no hugging or there was no like talk uh, much of a relationship um, between me and my mother and me and my father or really me and my siblings. We were kind of all, I feel, kind of separated in a way, emotionally separated. Um, kind of I felt most of my life I've been alone. Other than God, God has always been there for me when no one else, when there's no one else, there's always God, you know.
And how did growing up in an abusive home affect you?
Well, I mean, other than being shut down emotionally, it affected me in school. I had pretty extreme anxiety, social anxiety. I would have, I had anxiety before doing tests or exams, or when I would just forget everything on the tests. So I still did pretty well. I still did pretty good in school considering. I would get like 60s to 70s in school. Even though I struggled with anxiety, I would struggle with anxiety doing presentations. I'd be terrified of doing presentations in front of my peers. Um, I still have a little bit of anxiety, but not as much as I used to have.
And did you have autoimmune system disorder because of your trauma?
Yes, I do. I have actually have type 1 diabetes, and it is an autoimmune disease. I got it when I was diagnosed when I was 25, and I believe it was caused by emotional suppression and trauma. Yeah. And I believe a lot of the diseases in our modern society, including cancer, are caused by trauma and not processing emotions in a healthy way. The doctors obviously would go against that, but I think modern medicine needs to change in the way they treat people. I think they should look at more how if someone is healthy emotionally, and if they're not healthy emotionally, to, to look at to see if that's causing their condition that they have or their disease.
And why do you believe this, Andrew?
I believe this because of mostly because of what you see in modern society. There's a lot of people that are unhealthy emotionally, and there's a lot of dysfunctional families. And but I also believe it because what I read in the book, The Myth of Normal.
It's written by Dr. Gabe Mates and his son Daniel. He's very well known and very highly respected in the trauma world. He definitely knows his stuff.
Yeah, like he's introducing kind of new ideas to our society, kind of where um, instead of like the doctors nowadays, they're just like giving people drugs, here, have some more drugs, pushing drugs on them and pharmaceuticals and all that. Instead, he's saying we should look inside ourselves and actually see if the trauma is causing our conditions, instead of just giving drugs as a temporary relief or a band-aid on instead of solving it permanently, which would be like healing. healing from your trauma or from, which ultimately could heal your disease. I mean, it could heal diabetes. Who knows, right? I find sometimes actually myself when I process emotions healthy, like for instance, if someone does something really mean to me and I get angry, it's a healthy thing because it's a defensive measure. You're supposed to feel anger when someone does something unjust to you. I find my blood sugar will actually, it stabilizes. So with diabetes, blood sugar is a big thing. And yeah, it kind of sometimes will stabilize. Mm.
And when did you realize you had trauma?
Um, I came to the realization not long ago. It was probably like less than a year ago. It took a long time because it seems as though kind of our society is saying there's something wrong with you because you have trauma or something wrong with you or you have some problem. But I mean, it's more of like it's kind of what was done to a person. It's really nothing that they did themselves and what was done to them. And it kind of permanently affects them for the rest of their life unless they heal themselves.
May I ask how old you are?
I'm 39.
39. So you've had years of trauma, it sounds like, but it sounds like you're coming out on top. And how has God been able to be a part of this?
Well, I mean, God has given me a very strong will. Um, it's pulled me through a lot of stuff without relying on alcohol and drugs. Um, I get up every morning. I don't lay in bed and think to myself, I don't want to get up. I don't want to face the day. I just get up and face the day, no matter how I'm feeling. And I try to stay positive and I have a job that I love and my job is a big escape from my life. And I enjoy it a lot. I have a lot of fun doing my job as
It's
an
awesome.
arborist.
And you own your own company as well, do you not?
Yeah, I own just a small tree service right now, and I work for a bigger company as well. So the best of both worlds, I guess.
How has your trauma impacted you in relationships?
Well, I mean, I guess you learn, or we learn right from a young age what a relationship should be, and in my household, I learned what a relationship should be from a young age, and that's shut down and uh, relationships are not safe. You got to protect yourself from relationships. Can't be vulnerable. So in July of 2018, I got married to a woman, and the marriage didn't last very long. Um, I didn't really know how to function in a healthy relationship. I didn't have much relationship experience. Um, I wasn't taught what a healthy relationship was growing up, as I stated before. Um, 6 months into the marriage, my father committed suicide, and 3 weeks later, she had a miscarriage. and I became very shut down, very probably disassociating to survive that time in my life, and kind of shut down and closed off, and kind of mean. I became mean to her, and I said mean things to her.
And how did your wife respond?
Um, she got very hurt.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
She became very hurt and kind of shocked, I guess, in a shocked kind of state. Uh, I had to kind of, I didn't totally break down. I guess because I was able to disassociate, I was able to pass my exams at college, which were shortly after that, in like the 90s to hundreds. Um, it was, it was a shock to me. And, it's a wound that I'll carry for the rest of my life.
I'm sorry to hear that. It must have been really tough.
Yeah, I mean, no one really knows what it's like until they go through it themselves, right? And then you know what it's like. You don't know what it's like until it happens to you, and then you know what it's like. So you really shouldn't judge anyone. You don't know what any of these people walking around are going through or have gone through. So my wife and a number of other people around our inner circle um, started to say that I may need to get checked out, um, check my mental health. Um, I think I was just like kind of disassociating and trying to survive that trauma at the time in my life. Um, I kind of took it as, everybody's pointing the finger at me and kind of attacking me, and I kind of just suck it up and I went along with everything, and I went in. I got tested for pretty much everything in the book, all the different psychological tests. And a very sad thing also was I was misdiagnosed by professionals. Um, they kind of just, I guess people were prying for answers, I guess, and the professionals produced false false answer to give the people, I guess, because I don't know, they just didn't care, I guess. So as um, people, a couple, two or three of the professionals um, just kind of threw a diagnosis out there, and yeah, I'm sure it happens every day to a lot of people. People just don't care about other people.
And what did the professionals do? How did they treat you?
Well, I mean, when you're like that in your life, you're kind of in a very, very hurt, vulnerable state, and you're not a very stand-up person. You're submissive and vulnerable and hurt, and you're looking to for help and to trust people, and more of a follower than a leader. And some people will take advantage of that and lead you astray and not really help you. They will just, if you're not informed yourself, if you're not educated, they'll take advantage of that and just take your money and
Eh,
not do much for you. It took 10 months for a mental health assessment by the one professional. and I emailed her requesting it, and she emailed me back a couple times saying that her dog died 2 times. Um, which is, I don't know, unless she had 2 dogs, I guess.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And did she finally get back to you?
She did not email me back. So a friend had to get involved and put some pressure on her. And then she finally did produce a mental health assessment that is actually very, I don't know, it was actually, I think she wrote it up on my father, who has the same name as me, just to cover her own self, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure.
What do you mean? Can you explain?
She wrote it up. She said that Andrew started smoking when he was 13 years old, and I've never touched a cigarette in my life. So my father was a big smoker, a heavy smoker. So I'm assuming she wrote it up on my father somehow to protect herself. I have no idea.
Did you see any other professionals? I believe you said you saw a couple more.
Yeah, a couple more, yeah. And kind of the same. I found them to be the same way, kind of just bare minimum. Take your money as easy as they can.
And did they also give you a diagnosis?
I believe the one did, yes. I can't remember what it was, but it was also a false diagnosis. I believe the one even said that I had schizophrenia or something.
And do you have schizophrenia?
No, not at all. Nope.
And what's your daily life like? How do you know do not have schizophrenia?
Well, I've never had conversations with myself. Um, I've never seen things or anything, or never heard voices in my head. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've kept it together. I've kept it together through it all.
Did a professional ever tell you that you had trauma?
If you're, I mean, if you are struggling with schizophrenia, it'd be very hard to function in a job. I think a full-time job every day for 3 years. Um,
Climbing
how,
trees
just how
and
long
managing people.
I've been. Yeah, it's a very dangerous job. It's a job where if you don't have your head in the game, you can get killed. You can also kill your colleagues. Um, so yeah, I survived. I survived. I've been doing trees for over 10 years. And yeah, I think I would have been dead if someone else would have got killed.
That's odd that they would have given you that diagnosis.
Yeah, well,
Would you,
it was easy for them, right? It's an easy way. Just put this label on this person and send them out. Take their money. And then another one comes in, you put that label on that person and send them out. I think one of the professionals said that I have some childhood trauma. Um, and that was pretty much, that was about it. Um, in terms of any mental health conditions
and did you receive counseling for that?
or I think it's probably going to take a very long time, probably the rest of my life to heal and recover. Um, it may be quicker, I don't know, but it's going to take a while. I have a very hurt inner child, very very, very protective of being hurt again.
And what are you doing to try to get healing?
Um, I'm working with mother. Her name is Mother Mary, and she has experience working with people with extreme trauma, like way more trauma than me. Um, and she seems to think that her method works. Her
And
um,
she uses, do you mean Mother Mary? I believe she uses somatics.
yeah, somatics. Yeah, so that's like where your body processes emotions. uh, Because our body like keeps the score. Um, that trauma or hurts and trauma kind of build up in our bodies, and a lot of people, I guess, are walking around with a lot of hurts and trauma in their bodies all built up, and they kind of there's a separation between their mind and their body, kind of thing. So they're not really aware of it, and a lot of people don't release that.
How did your trauma affect your nervous system?
My trauma affected my nervous system um, uh, very early on. As a child, I was emotionally neglected, so I shut down my needs. I shut down that part of me because I wasn't getting my needs met. So I disassociated to survive, and became kind of emotionally numb. And yeah, I'm still disassociated. I still am emotionally numb. It's gonna take probably a very, very long time to get out of that state.
Are you glad you started your healing journey?
I'm glad, yeah, it's better late than never. You know, a lot of men out there are afraid to admit they have problems, or they're hurting because their society is so like, if you're a man, you can't show emotion or you can't be hurting, um, because they're supposed to be strong and emotionless, and not supposed to cry or anything or be hurt, feeling hurt. But we're emotional creatures, and there's a lot of men out there that could benefit from healing, from inner healing.
Well, I think it's good on you because you have started your healing journey and you're changing things for your child so that things will be different for this generation. You're doing generational healing work, which is amazing. And what advice do you have for our viewers?
I would just say there are professionals you can trust. It's not like you can't trust all professionals. Um, you just have to be aware that there are people out there who will use you if you're not informed. And I would advise them to start their healing journey and continue, and make them a better person and make the world a better place, instead of having a bunch of people that are bitter and full of hate, looking to go after each other. It's a lot of healthy people walking around, and healthy men and women and healthy families.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining today. And thank you, everyone, for watching.